Hey BookTube, welcome back to Barter Hordes. My name is Robert, and today is match day 2 in the first round of the Barter Hordes Cup. If you have no idea what that is, it's not a surprise. I just made it up recently. I took 32 books, 32 novels published last year in the United States that received very good critical review. And decided I would do a format that is like the football cup format in Great Britain. So instead of having a bracket like we do for tournaments in the United States, everybody's thrown into a hat, they're pulled out and matched up randomly each round, so you never know what the next round is going to bring. And sometimes you have two really powerful contestants against each other in the same round, and that's just the way the draw works. And so we're in round 1 right now. Last week I did a video for the first match. This is the second match, and today's match is between Klara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro and Matrix by Lauren Groff. If you want to see the previous videos and the introduction video I made for the Barter Hordes Cup, I've put together a playlist that I'll be adding each one of these videos to, and you can go back and check the whole series out. Okay, so Klara and the Sun is set at some point in the near future. The narrator, Klara, is an artificial friend. She's an artificial intelligence. I hesitate to use the word robot, but that's what it seems like she is. And she's a slightly older model. She's not the brand new model. And you don't realize much about Klara at the beginning because as the narrator, she's still making sense of her world too. And she's in the store and she's trying to figure out what it means when she's put in different parts of the store or when customers come in and ask different questions about her and so on. And so there's a naivety to her as a narrator, which is kind of interesting. And then eventually she is purchased by a family, and it's a troubled family. And you start to see how Klara makes sense of their world. And in some ways, Klara is more human than any of the human members of the family that she's been purchased by. And the fun, if you call it fun, I mean, the enjoyment for me in this book was seeing Klara make sense of the world in ways that humans would not make sense of the world. And so her perceptions and her data gathering and so on were, for me, the keys to this particular book. And I thought it was very well done. I have liked Ishiguro's writing for a long time. He's one of those writers that doesn't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. It seems like each one of his books is a completely new world. The second book is Lauren Groff's Matrix. Her previous novel, Fates and Furies, was a huge BookTube darling that I was lukewarm on. I gave it, I think, 3 stars when I reviewed it on Goodreads, however long ago it was when I read it. And so I didn't have huge expectations coming into this one. And the title, when I first picked it up, all I knew was the title. I was thinking more along the lines of the movie, The Matrix, which I did not get along with at all. And so I didn't have high expectations for that. And then when I learned quickly it was about the 12th century and an abbey in England, I thought, okay, I'm not sure what this title means in this context. And you learn quickly what it means in the context of the book. But the story is set in the 12th century. In France, the court of Eleanor of Aquitaine. There is a young 17-year-old woman who's a little bit of an outcast. She doesn't fit in with the rest of the court. Marie de France is her name. And Eleanor basically banishes her. She doesn't think she can marry her off. She doesn't want her hanging around because she just doesn't seem to fit in. So she sends her to England to become the new prioress at a very destitute abbey where the nuns are literally starving to death. There's sickness going on. When Marie first arrives, it's like the plague is taking away half the nuns. And then it's a story of how Marie turns this almost destitute abbey into one of the most powerful and most prominent religious properties in all of the kingdom. And it's a long story. It's not a long book, but it's a long story. It covers many, many years of all the things that Marie does, having no experience whatsoever doing any of these jobs when she first arrives, and how she just digs in and just does an amazing job and becomes kind of a legendary figure in the church for what she has done at this particular abbey. And this matchup for me was hard because I actually liked both books a lot. This is one of those big matchups where either book could conceivably go through depending on who is reading them for this round. So the way I had to decide this one is, if I was going to reread one book, which one would I pick up first? And for me, it was The Matrix, or Matrix. It's not called The Matrix. The historical novel is always one of my favorite genres anyway. And this had lots of moments of suspense. There's some battle scenes. There's some love scenes, some funny scenes. It's just a really well done look at a period of European history that I thought was remarkable. I liked the Ishiguro a lot. I'm very interested in artificial intelligence, not so much the technical side of it because I don't know anything about that, but in the cultural side of how are we going to live with technology in the future until our robot overlords take us over. But the movie Her, for instance, where this guy has a romantic relationship with his computer operating system, whose voice is played by Scarlett Johansson, I thought was really fascinating. A lot of people didn't like it, thought it was really boring and dull, and I just couldn't get enough. I thought, this is just, how could this happen? How could a guy have romantic feelings for a voice from his computer? But then you watch it develop and you start to make sense of it. It's about his perception of that relationship more than the physical relationship, because there is no physical relationship. And so I'm really interested in that topic, and I liked Klara and the Sun. But when it comes down to it, for me, Matrix wins the day for match day 2. So I hate to eliminate Ishiguro in round 1, but Lauren Groff's book was more of a favorite for me than Klara and the Sun. Match day 3 is 2 books that I had not read previously. I'd read the Ishiguro and the Groff before I started this contest, so it was mostly me going back through my notes and reading reviews and things like that. The 2 books in match day 3 are The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo, which is a retelling of the Great Gatsby story, and The Trees by Percival Everett. Now, The Chosen and the Beautiful is a debut novel. It's not a debut work of fiction by her, but it's a debut novel. And Everett has written, I think, 30 some odd books, and I have never read him before. I didn't even know of him until this year. And so I'm really looking forward to reading that one too. It's apparently kind of got a murder mystery overlay to a much more serious book about social justice and so on. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. I'll probably have those both read in time to post match day 3 next Friday. So I'll be able to stay on my roughly once a week schedule that I've been doing so far, and hope I can stick to some close version of that so we finish this whole thing in just over 6 months. All right, I'll be back with you again next week. Please drop your response in the comments. Do you agree with my choice if you've read both of these? Are you surprised that I picked Matrix over Klara and the Sun? If you did read both of them, which one would you have chosen? And let me know, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye, everybody.